Donald Trump said, I'm going to impose 60% tariff on Chinese goods. I said to American journalists, I said, ask your president to make it 600%. You will lose. Maximum 1 decade. Dollar's task is over. China acts, EU talks. See, you could engage expansion, which Russia protested, but see, you stop after the fourth expansion, not the fifth. The war could have been avoided. And I said that China make it very clear, China will not allow NATO expansion to Asia.
Spread the fire. Today on SMWX, we're joined by one of China's most influential public intellectuals, Professor Zhang Weiwei, a leading voice on China's political model and global rise. He's advised policymakers in Beijing and debated some of the world's top thinkers, from the US-China trade war to BRICS, from electric vehicles to the Belt and Road Initiative. Professor Zhang offers insights into how China sees the world and how the world sees China. This is a conversation you don't want to miss. Professor Zhang, 教授欢迎.
谢谢. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you here.
With pleasure. Yeah.
I didn't realize that you had met so many African leaders in your time.
That's true.
Tell us a bit about some of the African leaders you've met.
Yeah, that's in the mid-1980s. I was working as a senior English interpreter for Chinese leaders.
Wow.
So I was really involved in receiving quite a few African leaders, including Prime Minister Mugabe, at that time he was Prime Minister, and President Nyerere. And we also met President Kaunda, not in Africa, I think in one of the capitals in Africa in the meeting. I also received this Chairman Rawlings of Ghana in 1987. Yeah, so quite a few African top leaders, first generation leaders. Yeah.
Well, it's truly wonderful to have you on an African and a South African platform. Perhaps let's begin with the trade war between the US and China. What is your view on the current status of that trade war as President Trump has looked to ratchet up the aggression?
In fact, back in 2018, when Donald Trump, in his first term, started this trade war, and we made it very clear he will lose the war and lose completely. Because we made a calculation of US GDP, and we analyzed its trade structure with China. We came to a very simple conclusion. US depends far more on China than vice versa. So I remember last year, during the election campaign, Donald Trump said, I'm going to impose 60% tariff on Chinese goods. I said to American journalists, I said, ask your president to make it 600%. You will lose.
Yeah.
I said, obviously, your supermarket will be empty or half empty at least. And so I said, that's the main reason. And furthermore, if you look at the real situation between China and the United States, China is already a much bigger economy than the United States in terms of purchasing power parity since 2014. So it's almost a decade, more than a decade. China is a larger economy. And then, as I said, China had the world's most comprehensive and complete manufacturing setup. It has all the sub-branches of industries in the world. And there is an ecosystem which United States, due to its neoliberalism, hollowed out industrialization, economies, etc. It's impossible to create, say, in 1 decade, not mention less, its own ecosystem. For instance, Donald Trump said Apple should go back to the United States, not invest in China. Or Microsoft do the same, go back to the United States. It's not easy. Because for Microsoft, for Apple, within a radius of, say, 100 kilometers near Shanghai or near Canton, Shenzhen, you have all the spare parts, factories, enterprises, tens of thousands for your products. If you don't have this kind of industrial clusters and ecosystem, you cannot have the kind of quality and the cost of your production. So it's from all this point of view, we think United States will lose. So that's the case.
Well, in addition to the ongoing trade war with China, the second Trump administration has now widened its view to imposing tariffs on virtually everyone. South Africa is no exception. I mean, how do you think this shift to move tariffs globally, because China's been dealing with this, as you say, for a long time, how do you think this will play out?
I'll give you two examples. One is the latest case of Brazil. United States levied 50% tariff on Brazilian products. So Brazilian leadership was extremely angry and indignant and trying to fight back. Then not long ago, China signed a deal with Brazil. Basically, the largest product sold to the United States, coffee. China buy all of them.
Wow.
And another large part of the export is spare parts for special type of airplanes. China said, we need them.
Wow.
So this is what we call the South-South cooperation.
Absolutely.
And also both are the leading members of the BRICS. Also, Russia signed a deal, currency swap with Brazil, also in the past few days. So all have to do with this tariff war imposed by the United States. That's my first case. Second is South Africa.
Yes.
If you look at this 30% tariff on South Africa, then I checked the data. In fact, South Africa trade with China last year was $65 billion. And Africa's trade with the United States as a whole, collectively, is only $70 billion.
Wow.
So to be honest, at least from my analysis of the Chinese market, this 70 billion something China can consume easily.
Wow.
We put the situation to the extreme. And so for South Africa as well, even for the United States, only 15 billion more. And so that's the reason why when the United States declared tariff on the whole world and on Africa, including South Africa, China announced zero tariff for African countries, all 53 countries, except the one that's Swaziland. It had diplomatic relation with Taiwan.
Yes.
So for the rest, free trade, zero tariff.
It's interesting to hear you think that China can absorb a lot of that volume of trade on its own.
Yeah, because China has the world's largest consumer market. In nominal terms, US is still the world's largest consumer market. But if you look at in purchasing power parity, China already a much bigger consumer market. But for the US consumer, you look at the structure, it's a lawyer's fee.
Sure.
Pharmaceutical fee and the doctor's fees, all these types. But for Chinese, real economy, real consumption. And within China, it's a fierce competition. So price has been driven low. And but avocado is still expensive. So we hope with zero tariff,
you can take all of them.
Take all of them to China.
Absolutely, no problem. Professor Zhang, you've spoken about China's economy there, and of course, you've been a long-time important observer of China's economy. What would you say is different now compared to 10 years ago? Because China's moved from an industrial manufacturing powerhouse into very sophisticated tech goods, hybrid vehicles. And that's been quite something to behold. In South Africa, Chinese cars are taking over the market.
Indeed.
How would you say the economy has evolved in the last 10 years?
And we can say it this way, if you look at China as a whole, since the founding of the People's Republic, we will see the first 3 decades, we laid the foundation. We have the most comprehensive setup of industries, but they are not that sophisticated.
Sure.
And the economy is still weak. And China's per capita GDP is lower than most African countries at that time. Then we started economic other reforms and opening up. That was 46, 47 years ago. China economy began to take off. And China missed first and second industrial revolutions. But with this reform opening up, roughly China went through one industrial revolution after another. And now China is at the forefront of the fourth industrial revolution.
Absolutely.
With big data, AI, quantum technologies, China is on the par with the United States, if not more advanced. So the past 10 years is important. That's the year of Xi Jinping. And when he came to power, he emphasized very clearly what he called new productivity or new productivity economy. As a result, we focus on the latest technologies and try to have them empower the overall economy. So China is not really the type of ChatGPT about how to produce beautiful scenery or whatever, videos. It's about industry. So China AI is really implanted into China's manufacturing, from mining to harbors to other industries, pharmaceutical industries as well, as China has world's largest industrial powerhouse. So this is makes things different. And China, if I give you a figure which is more or less accurate, if you look at the human resources, China now every year produces more engineers and scientists than Western countries combined. So take the year 2023 as an example. Every day, in average, we have 7.24 million engineers, scientists working in R&D. Roughly 4 to 5 times more than our American counterparts. So this is a model I call saturation plus precision. First, saturation. We went to Huawei just now.
Yes.
Huawei's philosophy is very simple. You have a problem, we try to solve the problem, we put 1,000 engineers, scientists. If not solved, 10,000. China can afford this kind of saturation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, because it's a large country, it can afford the testing of all kinds of technical paths and approaches. For instance, with EVs, China is the leader now in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we tried everything with now lithium battery, but also hydrogen, also ethanol, and other routes. We've all tested. But in the end, we found this lithium battery is by far better now at this stage than we get precision. So resources, human resources, financial resources channel into that particular sector.
Very interesting.
But we are, at the same time, we maintain our research, R&D in other technical routes. So it's a larger country, you can afford to do that. Like Japan, it's relatively small by Chinese standards.
Yeah.
So it tried out only stick to one route, hydrogen. In the end, it's not successful. That's a wrong approach. But China can afford. So that one not working, we try another one, and then precision, precise to particular area, and so then move ahead. Yeah.
I mean, just two examples recently show the success of this new economic turn.
Yeah.
I believe recently in Europe, for one quarter, I'm not sure which one it was, BYD outsold Tesla.
Yeah.
And of course, we saw the emergence of DeepSeek, which plummeted the stock price of Nvidia for a while because
That's
no one
true.
expected something like that to come out of China at this stage.
Mm.
So the strategy seems to be bearing fruit. It would appear.
In fact, in many ways, China is perhaps the real market economy, because for instance, we have about 100 and more EV factories and plants, companies, because they compete each other fiercely. And then BYD can stand this domestic competition.
Right.
It came out, leading the world. Actually, this is the case with many other, with TikTok, with Shein, and with other, they have already experienced domestic competition. It's 1.4 billion people and the size of market.
Yeah.
And then fierce competition. And many companies go bankrupt, but they are successful and they become internationally competitive.
Let's shift to the Belt and Road Initiative, because this is another hugely important initiative.
That's true.
Economic, but also geostrategic, a way of connecting China with the Eurasian landmass, but also in some ways the Middle East, even Africa. Where do you see the Belt and Road Initiative at this moment, and do you think it's proceeding?
From a Chinese point of view, it's on the whole successful. Especially Xi Jinping initiated this whole idea 11, 12 years ago. And as you know, that's way before, ahead of the Donald Trump's trade war. That was the beginning of so-called pivot to Asia. It's during the time of Obama. And China began to realize there could be troubles with the United States, economic terms. So why not we move west and on the land and overseas? That's why I have this BRI. And by now, over $1 trillion invested, over 4,000 projects at least. And 2/3 now are private companies. So once they become driven by private companies, it means it's economically sustainable.
Sure.
So this is already a new trend. And of course, China has also learned certain lessons, because some companies did not realize, did not understand very well the external legal system, whatever. As a result, some projects went bad, but it's okay. It's part of the cost we have to pay.
Absolutely. I mean, another centerpiece of China's foreign policy is BRICS. Of course, BRICS is very important to us in South Africa as well. It feels to me, particularly after the Kazan summit last year, that BRICS has also shifted into a new gear. It's being taken increasingly seriously around the world.
That's true.
How do you feel, and where do you feel BRICS is at the moment in terms of China's thinking?
I think BRICS is another example of quite a successful experience of the non-Western world. And if you look at the overall size of the economies of the Greek members, 11, and they represent 40% of world's GDP, compared with 33% of G7. So it's already much larger. In this sense, we can say with certainty, it's already a multipolar world. But multipolar world order is yet to be born. It's not yet born. So this is something BRICS members work together to achieve this objective. It's not easy, but we have to try out.
Yes.
And in many ways, it's inevitable, because the United States under Donald Trump push BRIC members to get more united. Even with Brazil, I mentioned this case.
India.
With India as well, So India also began to improve its relations with China.
which is a good thing.
It's a good trend. Yeah.
Absolutely. Xi Jinping wasn't at the Rio summit. Do you think we should read anything into this?
No. This is entirely had to do with business schedule. It's a leader for 1.4 billion people, and there was one or two summits before and after, and their internal conferences, very important one to be held. It's understandable. To travel from Beijing to Brazil, it's a long distance, almost over 20 hours.
Yes, and I believe President Lula had already been in China as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, and in terms of BRICS, you say that we're in a multipolar world, but we don't yet have a multipolar world order, which is an interesting way to put it. What do you think this multipolar world order should look like, and what are some of the building blocks? Is it the UN that needs to change? Do we need new institutions? How would you see what this order would look like?
My own perception of this trend is, on the one hand, you need reforms of the UN. For instance, we are talking about this reform of the Security Council. And more importantly, we need to have, Council for Development Affairs, whatever. And there should be, we met Jeffrey Sachs not long ago in Shanghai. He said, why not, having a UN headquarters in China, especially all those institutions, organizations, in the new economy, in the environmental protection, in climate change, and where China is leading the world in these areas. So why not? Another thing, on the other hand, that's what China is already doing. For instance, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, BRICS, and its bank, new development bank. And, we encountered an interesting meeting back in, I think, 2018 or something, in Davos with Chancellor Merkel. She said, we, the West, should hurry up with this reform for international governance, IMF, World Bank. China is not waiting for us. China set up its own institutions, organizations. That's her interpretation, but it's more or less true.
One interesting thing I've heard you speak about in recent interviews is the global financial architecture and the challenge to SWIFT that is emerging from the global south. Talk us through that, because I think that hasn't got as much attention as some of the institutional and geopolitical questions.
And in the first place, this whole mechanism, SWIFT, has been weaponized. And furthermore, as you know, it's indeed outdated. Now we have blockchain technology, digital technology. And if you use this, the Chinese currency cross-border system, CIPS, SIPS, your transaction is in seconds and almost zero cost. But with SWIFT, you pay a lot.
And it takes 3 days.
That's true. It takes 3 days. It's a system for the Telegram, whatever. It's very much old-fashioned. It has to be. We also heard this important analysis by the former Greek financial minister, Yanis. He said there are two routes with these new technologies. The Chinese approach, American approach, SWIFT approach is more or less like an old, outdated highway full of holes, but still a lot of traffic moving on there. The Chinese approach, digital currency, whatever, it's entirely a new highway, brand new, efficient, high speed, but not many users yet. But all this will change fast.
And
it's availability of something alternative that's different.
Yes. Do you think we will reach a stage in the next decade when the dollar's supremacy in global markets is truly challenged, or do you think that's still a way off?
And Professor Jeffrey Sachs, he predicted very precisely. He said maximum 1 decade. Dollar's task is over.
1 decade. Wow. Do you go along with that?
More or less.
Ready to take your podcast to the next level? At Ayeye Studios, you can film, edit, and release your podcast all in one place. From crisp visuals to clean sound, we've got you covered, and we can even distribute your podcast on YouTube and other platforms. The best part? It's brought to you by the same team that brings you SMWX quality. Are you ready to take your podcast to the next level? Welcome to Ayeye Studios.
We of course have some interesting flashpoints in the world at the moment, and China's important in all of these. I suppose the first one I'd like to ask you about is the Russia-Ukraine conflict, because China and Russia, of course, share a very important strategic partnership. But on the world stage, China often doesn't speak as loudly as the US, and so it's not always obvious exactly where China is leaning. What is your view on the Russia-Ukraine conflict and the role that China has played with Russia as a key ally?
Indeed, this crisis is tragic because both Russia and Ukraine are China's friends. And for ordinary Chinese, they often confuse, because Chinese have a lot of, passion for Russian culture, Russian literature. And many of the authors are actually from Ukraine. So we all think, they belong to one ethnic group. And so when two brothers fought against each other fiercely, and now today such a human toll, it's tragic. But we also think the major cause for this crisis is NATO's expansion. 5 rounds of NATO eastward expansion. And, I produce a theory which is called civilizational state. So from my theory, Ukraine or Kiev is a typical case of interface between two civilizations. You either serve as a bridge between different civilizations or as a fortress pitting one side against another side. Kiev chose the other side. And then the tragedy become inevitable, to be honest. And I said, if only NATO, say you could engage expansion, which Russia protested, but say you stop after the 4th expansion, not the 5th, the war could have been avoided. And I said that China make it very clear, China will not allow NATO expansion to Asia. Full stop. So we don't understand why Russia, tolerated this for 5 times. So we blame this mainly on the West.
Are you surprised at the extent to which the Russian economy has actually been able to withstand some of the pressure on the ruble, for example? There were widespread sanctions, Western sanctions on Russia, and by and large, it has not caved in as an economy. I
think in the first place, Russia adopted some policies which indeed are impressive. For instance, when the United States and the West imposed this currency war on Russia, they adopted the right approach. The word currency in Chinese language is interesting. It's made up of 2 words. One is goods, the other is money. Goods plus money means currency in Chinese language.
Wow.
So Russia has turned this currency war into a war of goods against money. We have goods, you have money, but your money cannot buy our goods. This is also the reason why the West is on the whole quite fearful of the expansion of BRICS, because all the goods, including China-made products, manufactured goods, are with the BRICS. So with the more you have a real economy, and their money have become more and more, irrelevant. So this is one reason why, in the end, dollar will be in deep trouble. Now it's already in trouble, deep trouble. So with this kind of policy, it has handled relatively well. And also, most countries continue to have normal trade with Russia, including China. I was in Russia last month, and its supermarket is full. No shortage at all. People carry on life normally.
How do you see the situation in the Middle East, which is another flashpoint? I mean, we can maybe begin with what many in South Africa call the war on Gaza. This is a tragic situation described by many even as amounting to genocide. China was quite vocal on Israel's attack on Iran recently. Is there anything China can do more with, of course, global partners to try and end the tragic suffering in Gaza?
I've been to that region. I know these challenges are enormous. It's not easy because their problems go back to their histories. And I agree with this solution most countries share, that it's a two-state solution. Otherwise, there's no chance for, in the end, peace and prosperity. China has done a lot. China has played a role of good office and then make Iran and Saudi Arabia become friends again. That's not easy. China has also facilitated the reconciliation between different factions in Palestinian, forces. And but there are also limit what we can do. It's not easy to reach there. But one thing, because China has successfully more or less completed or almost completed this green transition, turn deserts into whatever, fertile land or land reclamation, desert reclamation. You may have heard that in Xinjiang, we have successfully encircled one of the world's largest deserts called the Taklamakan Desert. It's roughly the size of Germany.
Wow.
And we have turned this desert into a huge farm for solar energy. Millions of solar panels. As a result, electricity bill is the lowest in Xinjiang, lower than other parts of China. So many factories flock to Xinjiang. So Xinjiang being quickly industrialized. And underneath these solar panels are drought-resistant vegetations. As a result, of course, there are also other contributions. As a result of this and other contributions, Xinjiang is now one of the largest producers of grain, wheat, rice, and corn. Amazing. People never thought about this. As a story not well known yet.
Absolutely.
Outside, I was in Germany not long ago, in Berlin. I said, if I look at the German media, it's so hostile to China and portray Xinjiang as a hell. I said, for China, it's so laughable. Every year, Xinjiang receives at least 200 million visits mainly from China, but also from elsewhere. And with this kind of industrialization, modernization, desert reclamation, these are the enormous progress. So you missed all that. I said, for the Middle East, because they have a lot of deserts, eventually, when there is peace and there is consensus on development, China can provide technologies, tech know-how, and experience for desert reclamation. It's a long-term vision for them.
Absolutely. And I'm even thinking in terms of South Africa, we have some of our land masses desertified. In terms of South Africa, you're here for about 5 days. You've met important leaders on this continent, our economy is not growing fast. Let's put it that way. Do you have any advice looking from a distance on South Africa and how we can reignite the growth? Because we have so many of the ingredients to be a powerhouse economy, but we haven't managed to seize that.
From Chinese perception, Africa is a land of opportunities. And this perception is gaining more and more, shared more and more within China's economic elite, whatever. So this mentality is very different from the West. West still see Africa is chaos, wars, whatever.
Yeah.
We think it's a land of opportunities. And Africa themselves, Africans should see this also as opportunities. So many different type of resources, such a young population, and so many already good technologies available. And what needed is right strategies, right policies. So when I was giving my lecture yesterday in the University of South Africa,
yes,
I said there are perhaps few points of Chinese experience which could be relevant. One is in the Chinese case, or China model, is we always put people's livelihood first. This is a key philosophy from Confucianism from 2,500 years ago. Whatever regime in power, your number one task is improving people's living standards. Even you cannot do that, you have to say that in China's long history.
Right.
But in New China, we mean it. It's very serious.
Sure.
Whatever policies, political, economic, social, legal, in the end, they must boil down to delivering tangible goods for the people in material terms or in other terms. As a result, if you look at the size of China economy, over the past 45 years, it increased 48-fold. Yeah,
that's something.
From a level of lower than most African countries in terms of per capita GDP, to world's largest economy by purchasing power parity. So it's enormous progress. Had to do with this people's livelihood first. Very down to earth, pragmatic. You must deliver rather than, as I was joking in Berlin, I said, China acts, EU talks.
It's interesting because we have a lot of debate in South Africa about the state and whether the state should play a greater role in the economy or whether it should be the market. I mean, how do you characterize the way that China's been able to balance those two things? Because that balance seems to be something that's profoundly new in economics.
And for Chinese, if you look at China model, officially our economic model is called the socialist market economy. But to put it simply, it's a mixed economy in which the state sector and the private sector play a complementary role. A good example is China's internet industry, the world's fastest growing, especially internet apps. So the state sector is responsible for infrastructure, a highway system, bullet train, the best in the world, and digital infrastructure. China is a socialist country. We make very clear each and every village, even if you are, say, in the high mountains in Xinjiang or Tibet, if there's a village, the population living there, there must be 4G or 5G stations there. So even I travel, in Xinjiang, I go to villages, this internet connection and Wi-Fi system works better than the center of Paris. So this digital infrastructure is done by the state sector. And then with this kind of supply, then all of a sudden, demands come out. And then private sector provide e-commerce service to the best of their ability. So as a result, China is what we call the one mobile phone, you can do everything. We don't have any cash for almost a decade. Everything paid by, done by the smartphone, one phone.
We have the G20 summit coming in Johannesburg this year. What are your hopes and thoughts ahead of the first G20 to be hosted in Africa?
In the first place, it's really hearty congratulations to South Africa. It's the first time it's being held in Africa and by South Africa. It also shows South Africa's importance in the whole structure of G20. And I think it will be a very good opportunity if we do it properly to showcase Africa, South Africa, and Africa as a whole, to the whole world. Africa is a land of opportunity. We are open for business. We are open for So a lot of things can be done. It's also another way to allow people here to know better outside the world, know better about China, know better about Russia and Brazil and India. So this is also fascinating.
Absolutely. Well, Professor Zhang, I hope to one day visit you at Fudan University.
Looking forward to that.
It's been such an honor to have you. Thank you for gracing this platform, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much for this interview. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All the best.
Thank you very much. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Help us get to 300,000 subscribers and keep it locked on SMWX. Aye.